Hello and welcome to class number 3 in our end of the year 8-week series. And today we're going to start with a quote by John O'Donohue. And that quote is, "I would love to live like a river flows, carried by the surprise of its own unfolding." All right, so as we do today's class, think about that quote. I would love to live like a river flows, carried by the surprise of its own unfolding. All right, we're going to start in bound angle pose. So bring the soles of your feet together, and you can stretch, and I'll turn this way. You can stretch your legs out as further in front of you if you'd like, or if you have a little bit more open mobility, you can bring your feet, slide them in a little bit closer. Find wherever's best for you and what feels good for you. Take your hands to your shins, and we're just going to do some nice simple rolls around. Breathing nice and deep here and fluid as you go in the naturally as you go in your circles. So just really kind of warm up the spine, the pelvis, getting all this going. And a couple more in this direction. And then let's switch direction and go the other way. So just some nice gentle rolls, coming down as far as you want, as far back as you like. Whatever feels good in your body. You need to listen to what your body says. And one more in this direction. All right, and from here we're going to come back up. I'm going to turn so you can see me. And we're just going to take one leg. And if it's all right with your knee, so take the left knee into your chest and then rotate it out to the side, if that's okay with your knee. And then just close that gap with the right foot. We're just going to do a simple twist. If this doesn't work for your knee, then just come back to a simple cross-legged position. Bring that knee in and then bring it out carefully. And from here, we're just going to twist over to the right, bring your hands behind you and to the right, twist to your degree, and breathe here. Nice inhale and exhales. Come back to center. Come back to your bound angles, the soles of your feet together. And from here, now bring your right knee into your chest. And if you have that rotation and it feels all right, rotate that knee out to the side and close that gap with your left foot. Again, you can always go in a cross-legged seated and do it, and do your twist to the other side. It doesn't matter. Inhale, get tall, and exhale and twist to your left, looking behind you, stretching to your comfort level. Breathe here, in and out through the nose. A couple of deep breaths in and out. And exhale, return to center. Come back into the soles of the feet together for a moment. Breathe in and exhale and fold in deeply to your degree that feels right for you. Breathe here, in and out through the nose. From there, come back up. And now we're going to stretch both of our legs out long on the mat. Actually, we're going to start with one at a time. So bring that left leg out long on your mat, out to the side with your toes pointing up, your kneecaps pointing up toward the ceiling. And bring your right foot in to about wherever it feels good for you. So it could be out here or it can be further in. Sit up nice and tall on the sitting bones. And from there, just hinge forward at your hips, any amount. Breathe here nice and deep. Once more. Inhale. Exhale. Okay, come back up. And now bring that sole of the feet back together. And now we're going to bring our right leg out long on the mat. Toes point up toward the ceiling, kneecap pointed up. Left foot can be out or closer in. Wherever you'd like it, sit up nice and tall on your sitting bones. And exhale and fold forward. Hinge forward any amount. Should be feeling a nice stretch right along your hamstrings here, along the back. Breathing, but don't forget to breathe in and out through your nose. Come back up. And from here, soles of the feet together one last time. Sit up nice and tall. And from there, release that, come on to all fours. We'll do a couple of rounds of cat-cow. So your hands should be under your shoulders, knees should be under your hips. On the inhale, look up around your back. Exhale, tuck your chin around your back and look inside for cat. Inhale, look up, arch your lower back. Exhale, round and look in. 2 more. Inhale, look up. Exhale, round in. Let's do one more. Inhale and exhale. From here, sit back on your heels. If you'd like, you can also use a block to sit up on, if that would help. Sit back on your heels the best that you can. And from here, we're just going to do, and you may need a block behind you, possibly if the floor doesn't come to your hands. We're just going to do a stretch back. And if this is enough right here, then stay right here because you're stretching out your quads here. So you can stay right here or take your hands behind you on the mat and just stretch back any amount. You should really feel that opening in the quads. Breathing here. Come back up. Plant your hands in front of you. Step back into a nice long down dog with bent knees. And here, just really stretch them out. Stretch out the legs. Get that movement in there. Really lift the hips up toward the sky. When you feel ready, you can straighten your legs or keep your knees bent. Definitely pedal out the legs a bit. This is the first down dog of the day, more than likely. Breathe here, nice and deep. Really feel into that and stretch out on that down dog. On an inhale, we're going to step our right foot forward, and you may have to help it come the rest of the way up. Leave your left back leg, your back foot down, and from here we're going to come all the way up into a nice high lunge. So find your balance, get stable in your foundation. We're now in a nice high lunge. Right leg is bent forward. Left leg is long and straight behind us. Arms up overhead. Once you feel steady, take your arms, and what you're going to do is open your arms up to the side and twist your body to the right. Very carefully. This is a balance pose. If you don't feel steady, then stay in the upright position that we were just in with your arms up overhead. Breathe here. Don't forget to breathe. These are really important balance poses or challenging poses. That's when you want to drop the breath. Make sure you remember to breathe. Exhale. Come back to center. Oh, about fell there. And plant your hands and step back into a downward facing dog. Stretch out that right leg really well. Give it a nice pedal of the legs. Sink back into your heels. Lift your hips up toward the sky. Reach long and stretch long with your arms. Another deep breath in and out here. Now inhale, bring your left foot forward. And again, if you need to help it forward. Once you find your base, stand up into your nice high lunge. Left leg is bent. Right leg is nice and straight behind you. Arms up overhead, coming out of your pelvis. I hear my cat coming up to join us. Breathe here, nice and deep. And when you feel like you're stable and you're ready to go, or you can always just stay in this pose. But if you feel stable, twist, bringing your arms down out to your sides, and twist to your left. This is a nice balancing pose. Don't forget to breathe. It is challenging. Breathe in nice and deep here. Exhale, come back up, bring those hands back up overhead. And on the exhale, lower your hands to the ground. Step your left foot back to meet your right to a nice downward dog. Stretch that out. I like to pedal my legs between the sides on that one. And from here, we're going to step our right foot forward into warrior two. So drop your back heel down to the ground, heel to arch alignment. Come up with your arms outstretched. Take a nice deep breath. Look over that right hand. Make sure you're coming straight out of your hips and you're not swaying one side to the other. You're nice and straight and out of the hips. That right leg is bent nice and deep, and try not to splay in or splay out. Try to keep it pointed over, directly over your toes. Breathe here. One more nice deep inhale. And on the exhale, bring your right forearm to your right quad, right above your knee. Take that left arm and stretch it up overhead. Twist your chest to open the best you can to the right. Looking up toward the sky. Stretch here. Stretch this left arm really nice and long. And I'm sorry, I said to the right. I meant twisting to the left, excuse me. That would be a feat to go the other way, wouldn't it? So stretch that left arm up overhead and nice and tall. Breathe here. Nice and deep breaths in and out through the nose. Steady your breath. From here, come back up into a brief warrior two pose, looking out over that hand. And from here, bring your hands to the ground and step back into a downward facing dog. Breathe in here nice and deep. Couple of cleansing breaths before we do the other side. On the inhale, step your left foot forward into warrior two. So plant that back foot. Come on up. Make sure you have your heel to arch alignment. Check your feet. Get where you need to be. Bring your arms out in front of you. Left leg now is bent forward. Right leg is nice and deeply rooted and grounded here in the back. Nice and long and straight. Arms out in front of you. Look over your left hand now. Again, remember, and try not to splay this knee in or out. You want to try to keep it tracking over. If you need to come out of the bend, then do that to keep it tracking. Coming up out of your hips. Breathe here nice and deep. In and out through the nose. A few rounds. Feeling this pose and noticing the breath. One more. Inhale. And on the exhale, bring that left forearm down to your right above your knee on your quad. Now spin your chest to the right and open up, looking at the ceiling, or the sky in my case. Bring your right arm up overhead and really stretch it forward. Get nice and long. You should feel a nice all the way from the ground. Nice stretch all the way along that right side. Breathe here, nice and deep. Inhales and exhales. One more. On the inhale, come back up to a brief warrior two. And exhale, bring your hands down to the ground and step back into a nice downward facing dog. Stretch that out however you need to. If you need to pedal it out, knees bent, knees straight, or legs straight, I should say. Another nice deep breath here, in and out through the nose. And on the inhale, walk it forward on your mat and come into a nice Inhale, halfway lift, looking forward, flat back. And exhale, fold in. Remember, you can always use blocks for this. Inhale, come all the way back up, hands reaching over top. And exhale into mountain pose. Nice. Okay, from here, we're going to step our right leg back. We're going to turn to the side of our mats, and you're going to have both of your feet turned at about a 45-degree angle. And you're going to have a nice longer stance here. And from here, we're going to come into, it's got a couple different names. Some call it goddess, some call it horse stance. So come to wherever you feel most comfortable. So if you need to stay up more upright, then go for that. If you want to come in a little deeper, you can. Hands on your thighs. And just kind of do a nice little swaying back and forth. Really open in this area to help us with our peak pose for today. That's coming up soon. So this is a great pose to just really open everything up. And again, you can stay more upright. You can come further down. If you'd like to add a little challenge, you can bring your hands at your sides in prayer. You can have them up overhead. That will obviously add to the intensity. So find your modification and where you want to be today in intensity. Obviously, when your hands are off, you're going to definitely feel it more in here. So let's just stay here for just a moment, feeling into that. And then we're going to exhale and stand back up, straighten the legs, and walk back to the front of your mat into mountain pose. And just stay here for a moment and really feel the earth beneath you and kind of let all that settle and move out for a moment. Breathing in and out through the nose. All right. So today we're going to work on a peak pose. And so all the peak poses that we're doing during this 8-week series are typically poses that are a little bit more challenging, but there's lots of modifications. So what we want to do with the peak poses is we want to explore those poses. So you don't have to get into the pose itself right away. You're going to work up to it, and you will see over time that you'll get better and better at this. This pose is one at first I was like, this is really hard for me, and now I actually really enjoy it, even though it can be intense. So I will show you the modifications to make this a little easier. If you have severe knee issues, if you've had knee surgeries or any major knee problems or severe lower back issues, then you'll need to skip this pose. And if you'd like to, while we'll do this one, you could come into a child's pose and just take it easy for a minute. But we don't want to, there's not really any modifications I can give you that's going to help if you've got any major knee problems or major lower back issues. So just that caveat. So what I'm going to show you, I'm going to show you with a step stool. There's a lot of different ways to do this. And what we're going into is what's called yogic squat. That's what it sounds like. I'm going to use a step stool, but for some of you, you may want to use maybe a chair, and a chair is a great place to start if this is even too low. So with this, I'm going to turn it to the side here. And I'm going to have for me, I find it's definitely more helpful, and especially with people new are doing this, it helps to have your legs out wider. So from here, with the step stool behind me, you could also, if you find the step stool is too high or a chair is too high, you can always use a block here. But I'm going to show it first with this and then with the block. So from here, you're going to have your feet turned out slightly to each, maybe not quite a 45-degree angle. And from here, you're just going to simply squat down and sit on that step stool. And this is a great place to be for yogic squat. What you're doing is you're really just trying to open up the groin area and these inner legs. So the more you can get those legs out and open is best. So if this is what you need to use, then do that, because this pose is very difficult for a lot of us in the Western world. We're not used to being in this position. However, children are in this position all the time, it seems like, and they have no problem doing it. Along the way, as we become adults, we lose that ability. So this is just a great pose to work on. So you can be right here. If you would like to go a little deeper, and if you decide that the step stool is too low, then again, sit in a chair. You would be, pretend there's a chair here, getting the same idea. You're still getting that opening. If you would like to try with a block, set the block behind you on the medium height or the lower height, the lowest one. You pick. And same thing, you're just going to squat back onto that with your Again, with the legs wider, it helps this pose a lot. So this is another great modification, or with the block even lower. Great modification. You see we're obviously getting a lot lower here now. I'll turn slightly sideways here. I'm just trying not to. So here's this. Now, another option, and obviously if you don't want to use the block at all, then the wider stance definitely helps. You just squat back down. So wherever you're at, try it out for a little bit. Breathe, come out as you need to, just play around with it. This is what yogic squat is. Now, some people like to do this pose with their feet closer together. And when I do that, I'm unable to keep my feet flat, so I have to come like this. And you could also do that. But I find the wider stance works a lot better. Alternatively, you could roll up the back of some of your mat, and you could actually place the heels of your feet on the rolled up mat and squat back that way, in addition to a block if needed. So there's lots of options here to help you get into this pose. So find your variation, get into it for a little bit, breathe, come out when you need to, do a nice forward fold as you need to, come back into it, just explore it. This is a fun little, it's a peak pose. It's fun and challenging to see what you can do, and over time to see how deeper you can go in that pose. This is just a really nice opener. So again, the peak poses are not meant to say, oh, here's something that this will be hard for everyone to do. It's meant to give you a place to explore and a place to go. So as you go along with the different variations, you'll move along with it. All right, from there, we're just going to stretch out into a nice wide-legged child's pose. Big toes touching. Just stretch out on your mat. And let all of that go. You attempted squat pose. Whatever your variation was, you tried it, so good job. And breathe here nice and deep. And I will tell you that squat pose will get easier with time. Go and stay in your child's pose. You got to keep working with it. And, maybe when you're watching a TV show, just try doing that pose. Try sitting and watching TV in that pose for, a minute or two and see how it, over time, or start with 30 seconds or whatever and work your way up. All right, from here, we're going to step back into a nice downward dog to release all of that. Really stretch it out. And from here, we're going to bring our right foot forward into pigeon. So that means your right knee will go up toward the right end of your mat. Your left leg will stretch out long and behind you. If pigeon does not work for you, for your knees, for any reason, you're going to roll onto your backs and come into figure four, bringing your right foot on top of your left knee and pulling in. That's a perfectly good stretch too. So whichever one you're in, pigeon or figure four on your back, really settle into this pose, because this week's tip is all about hip opening. Hip opening is what we're also doing. That groin opening is also helping with the hips. And you can come down on your forearms if you'd like, or stay upright. So just breathe here nice and deep in this pose. Hip opening is really important for, especially this time of year. A lot of us maybe do a little more traveling. We're going to go visit family and friends. Maybe not as much this year with COVID, but possibly, depending on what you have going on. So opening those hips after you've been sitting for a while in the car is really, really nice, or even before you go for a nice long ride in the car, or sitting at your desk too much. It's also your, we're going to switch out here in a minute, and then I will continue on with that discussion. So from here, you're going to just bring that left leg forward and all the way around. For those that are on their backs, you can come sitting up. And you're going to take, now this is what's called fire log pose, and you'll see exactly why it's called this. And if you find this is not for you, you can come into a simple cross-legged. But you're going to take your left foot and put it on top of your right knee so that you're stacked. And you may find you need a block here because you may have this leg may be way up here, and that is perfectly fine. It's called fire log pose because it helps to kind of burn out some of the emotional energy that we store in our hips. So find your variation what you're looking for is your feet are flexed and your left foot is stacked on your right knee and your left knee is stacked over your right foot. So again, if you need to have a block here, put a block here, or whatever you need to have there. So the other, and stay here nice and upright, and let that knee come down however you want it to come down. You can also, if you feel okay, you can hinge forward a little bit, but it's a pretty intense pose. If you want to stay upright, you can. And again, you can always just take a simple cross-legged here. But our hips are also the seat of our emotional energy. It holds, we store a lot of our emotions here. And so when we open our hips, we help to clear out some of that old stagnant emotional energy, which that can also be important around holiday time. Maybe you're dealing with family members that drive you crazy, or friends, or whatever it might be, or just the frenetic energy of holidays, end of year goals and such. So opening the hips helps you for traveling, for sitting for a long time, but it also helps you to release some of that just emotional baggage that we just kind of get stored there. Kind of like when you sweep everything underneath of a rug, maybe at home. Instead of cleaning it up, you just sweep another rug. Eventually, that's all going to build up. So it's nice to let that go. And from here, we're going to release that and step back into your downward facing dog, however you would like to. Release that on both sides really well. And from here, inhale and bring your left foot forward into pigeon. Left knee pointed up toward the left end of your mat. Right leg nice and long and straight behind you. Or if this doesn't work for you, roll onto your back and come into that figure four pose. You could stay upright here if you'd like, or if you find it's better to fold over your leg, whatever feels best in your body. Pigeon is just a wonderful way to clear out and really get the hips opened up more so that you don't have all that junk that just sits there. And that also makes your hips tight. So it's not just from sitting too long. Again, it's everything we take in and ends up getting stored somewhere. And remember to breathe here. Always breathing. And then from there, going to bring that right leg and swing it around. I'll turn to the side so you can see. And now place that right foot on top of your left knee. And now this right knee is now stacked over top of the left foot. And again, put a block here. If you're here, put a block here. Over time, this knee will start to go down. If this just does not work for you for any reason, simple cross-legged. Take that variation. Breathe in here, sit up nice and tall and stay upright. Or again, you can fold forward some, but you will definitely feel the intensity more in that hips once you fold forward. So you decide where you need to be. There's no prize for going forward in a certain amount. So you pick what feels best in your body. It's not about a contest. So much of life is about a contest. This is not a contest. Breathe here in and out through your nose, really breathing into those hips. A little wind here today. And from there, we're going to stretch back into one more downward facing dog just to release all of that. Stretch back up, stretch your hips up, stretch long and deep in that nice downward dog. And from here, we're going to come down onto our backs. And bring your knees in, just give them a nice squeeze in, and drop both your knees over to the right, left arm out to the left, and look over your left hand or your left shoulder. Nice supine twist here just to let all that go. Inhale, bring it back up. Hug the knees in one more time. And exhale, bring those knees over to your left, your right hand out to the right side, and look over to your right. And let all that go. Breathing here. Inhale, bring it back up, knees into your chest. And from here, release everything into the mat. Legs, arms, everything in the mat. Grab an eye covering if you'd like. And just stretch out into a nice Shavasana. Breathing in and out through your nose. Continue to notice your breath. Notice how you feel right now. Do you feel like you're a little bit more cleared out? Do you feel like that you let go of a few things? If not, Use Shavasana to help you let go of things that no longer serve you, things that are no longer helping you in your life. Just let them go. Let it melt away. As you lie here in a nice long Shavasana, breathing in and out, letting your body go into the mat, and letting the effects of your practice wash over you. I'm going to give you about 30 seconds, 45 seconds here of quiet. I'll let you know when the time is up. For those of you that can and would like to stay longer, please ignore my cues and stay. If you need to get on with your day, hug your knees into your chest, give yourself a nice big squeeze, and roll over to your right side. Using your arms, push yourself back up to a nice, comfortable seated position. Thank you for joining me for class number 3. Thanks for taking the time out to take care of yourself. Give yourself gratitude for that too. It takes a lot of to get yourself to show up to the mat on a regular basis and to take classes. So I appreciate you doing that, and thanks for taking care of yourself, because when you take care of yourself, you're able to help other people and take care of other people better. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Namaste, and I'll see you soon.